Hey guys, Chris here. Tonight I'm in the Sierra Nevada with my good friend Tim.
Hey everyone.
And we are going to be camping, cooking, fishing, and of course, we got a scary story for you about 3 guys that go to North Cascades National Park in Washington. Really frightening experience they had. That's next. Nice crab. Oh, a little springage. This looks like there's someone in there, just like they just woke up.
This is like an alien bird.
Look at that. Imagine we could like do a voiceover going, "Hey, what happened to the tent? Where's the coffee?
Let me out of here.
Whose feet are in my face?"
Where's Sigourney Weaver?
He's in the house here. Under pressure. Nice. I think that might be it, right? Or we got... All right, we got a nice stream behind me here. The tent is up. I love it. And here's our little kitchen right here. And now we got to put the cots together, sleeping situation, and build a fire pit and get some firewood split. All right, you ready for some firewood? Woo!
Yeah, we're ready.
He's got the very sharp hatchet. Hatchet Tim.
Yeah. Like a drum.
Look at that. Make music with that thing.
You're gonna do orange and black.
Sure, orange and black. My colors.
Yep, your colors. Oh. Yeah, the little pillow.
Little pillow, which is inflatable. So there we go. It's got a head strap on the inflatable pillow.
Yeah, I'll sleep like a baby.
Look at that.
Look at that.
And you know, on a sunny day,
It's a hat. It's a
fishing-
brooch. Or a pterodactyl.
is a lightweight chair. There we go. Here's our setup. We are all put together here. We got the roof open on this side of the tent. Works great for 2 people. Look at that. And we got the back door there as well. There's Tim. And yeah, there's we'll put the screen back up here. And
Howdy, neighbor.
howdy, neighbor. Nice. All right, firewood. Boy, this smells good. Okay.
Whoa! Nice cut.
Woo!
You got the touch.
Yeah, that's a good
This one I could, yeah. This is smaller, more manageable for me. Come on,
There you go.
stay. Oh, look at that.
Almost. You got it. Yeah. There was a knot in that one.
Burning daylight.
Just make sure
Come
you got a
on.
clean swing if it goes through.
Come
Yeah,
on,
wide
baby.
feet. That's
Ooh.
just, you can't go wrong. Yeah!
Oh, look at that.
Man! Nice!
Nice.
Scores a runner from second. Ah! All right, we just did a nice little hike and we're checking out the stream above the our little campsite here. It is really cool. There's a little waterfalls in here that we're gonna check out. So there's Timmy behind me there. Where'd he go? There he is. Oh yeah. Tim is from Minnesota, and I have been friends with Tim since, what, 1886?
85, maybe.
85.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met at Morehead State.
Yep, Morehead.
College. Went to college with Tim here. Mid-80s.
Yep. A long ride.
Been good friends ever since.
Yes, indeed.
So, indeed. So,
a lot of history.
a lot of history, yeah. Isle Royale National Park.
Lake Superior.
Lake
Yep.
Superior, Montana.
Yeah. I got engaged when we were camping
Yeah.
with my wife.
Yeah.
With you.
Taylor's Falls.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Interstate Park.
Interstate Park.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we
call
love
it that. Interstate Park.
We love Interstate Park. But yeah,
Yeah.
Tim's a Minnesota guy. Lived in Montana for a few years, and then
Love the
Still
outdoors. Keep hiking
Stillwater.
with Chris.
yeah, keep hiking.
Living in Stillwater.
And
now.
you and Amy have a pizza business
Yes.
in Stillwater. What's the name of it?
Victorianos.
Victoriana, and
Yep.
it's a New York.
New York style, yes.
Yeah.
It's Amy's baby. So.
Yeah, Stillwater, Minnesota. There you go.
Nice.
And
Different philosophy.
We have-
We're going skin down.
exactly, always start skin down.
There you go.
We have Atlantic salmon, nice slabs of it. Coming together quick.
Alright. Oh. We got a slippery one there. There you go. Grab that pole. There you go. Alright. Nice. Thank you. Alright, we're ready. This is a big fire coaster.
That is going to die down, but oh my gosh.
Little pine needles, pine cones. Woo.
In about 3 minutes. All right, cheers.
LaCroix, we've got limoncello LaCroix. Very fancy.
Oh my gosh. That's a big flame.
Good hot fire.
It'll burn down though. Eventually. Okay guys, we got a nice campfire going and the sun is going down and we are going to be cracking a beer from the Mad River Brewing Company, and that is a Steelhead Extra Pale Ale out of Humboldt, California, which is on the northern California coast. Amazing country up there. And so let's take a look at that. Oh, nice and pale, amberish looking. And let's see what that tastes like. Got a nice steelhead trout on there. Wow, it's really vibrant. It's really lively taste. Really smooth finish. Really tasty. And a little bit of kind of a malty thing going on, kind of the pale, extra pale. So yeah, Mad River Brewing. Cheers. Okay, so this story takes place in northern Washington in a very wild place called North Cascades National Park. It borders Canada, British Columbia. It's 555,000 acres, over 500,000 acres of steep mountains, wilderness, deep drainages, and high peaks. Surrounded by the Mount Baker National Forest, and really some interesting, if not frightening, names to some of these locations. There's Mount Fury, Mount Terror, Mount Despair, and Forbidden Peak. These are actual names in North Cascades National Park. And if you know anything about wilderness names, place names, and locations, there's usually a story behind a name, right? Like Death Valley. They don't call it Death Valley because somebody in another part of the world decided to call it Death Valley. People had experiences in Death Valley because it's so hot and people died. So they named it Death Valley to kind of give you an idea of, it's not a great place to be a pioneer and establish a home in Death Valley. Fall of 2008, 3 guys, Stephen, Ray, and Jake, were working together at a tech company in Seattle. They all decided to get together and do a backpacking trip to North Cascades National Park. They'd never been there and they thought this would be really awesome. They were all well versed in the outdoors. They loved the outdoors, fishing, hunting, backpacking. And so they contacted the park, got a permit for the 4 nights that they wanted to be out. And so if you know anything about the permit system in national parks, pretty much all national parks, you have to have a permit to go into the backcountry. So Park Service, the rangers know who's out there and for how long and where they are. And I used to work in Yellowstone, and we would go literally walk into the backcountry ranger station and say, we're going to go to the Lamar Valley for 2 nights on these dates, and then they had designated sites that we would go to. And you were supposed to go to these sites, and then you can go to the next campsite if that was one of your designated sites. So they had their permits, they're all ready to go, had everything packed up. They all rode together in Stephen's Toyota Tacoma. Got to the trailhead, got all their gear together, and they started heading up the trail. Just magnificent country. Really excited, having a great day. They were going to go to this high alpine basin, very small lake, and it was surrounded by peaks. It's going to be a pretty strenuous day. So they're going through the forest, and they get some switchbacks, and they go up, and they're working their way towards this basin. It kind of levels out, and then they're in this basin. They can see the peaks, the lake's out in front, and they're really excited. They set up their camp, collect some firewood, get a nice pile of firewood, just like we did. And they're really tired, but they had some dinner. He said they had spaghetti, probably the freeze-dried stuff. And then they got a campfire going, watching the stars, and then they decided to turn in, got the campfire put out, get some rest, and they were really excited for the next day. So they just wanted to be done with the day, put it in the books, and go to sleep. They each got their own tent. Jake, Ray, and Stephen, kind of in a triangle like this. And Stephen said he fell asleep pretty quickly. 10 minutes he was sound asleep. He said about 3 a.m. he had this kind of a weird feeling, and he woke up. It was kind of a feeling of concern, not necessarily despair or dread, but just this feeling of concern, like something wasn't right. He's laying there in his sleeping bag. He's listening, didn't hear anything. Then he hears this low talking sound. He kind of sits up a little bit, kind of listening, trying to get a better view with his ears, and he realizes it's Jake and Raymond. And they're talking in low tones to each other. Like they're not even in their tents, they're standing up talking. You could hear it. And so he grabs his headlight, unzips the tent, and he pops his head up and he can see them. There's a little bit of moonlight and a little bit of skylight. It's pitch black, but he can see them and he can still hear them talking. And so he walks over and says, "Hey guys, what's going on? It's 3 a.m. And they said, "We heard something, and we don't hear it right now, but just listen. We've been hearing it." And so he listens. And after about 2 minutes, he hears what sounds like a siren, like an emergency warning siren. Low to high, back down to low. And it takes 10, 12 seconds or more to do this sound. And they're sitting there listening to this, and they're like, that's really weird. We're in the middle of the wilderness. There is no sirens out here. There's no reason to have a siren in the wilderness. I grew up in Minnesota, and in my small town, Osseo, they had, and still have to this day, a siren. It's a warning siren. And they would play it, from what I remember as a kid, on a regular basis at noon and 6 o'clock. And what it did is it got you accustomed to hearing that siren. And then when there was a tornado warning or a storm warning that with high excessive winds and rain, this siren would go off and give you the warning to, go home, get inside and get into your basement and be protected. Get you out of there, get you off the road. And so I went on to YouTube and I typed in Osseo, Minnesota siren. I'm gonna play that just for a moment right now. So they're listening to this, and then they realize that the sound is moving. But not only is the sound moving, it's getting closer to them. It's moving in their direction. Jake right away says, I think we need to get the fire going again. I think it's really important. And both Ray, Steven were like, yeah, that's a good idea. So they built the fire, got the fire going. Again, they're hearing this sound. It's loud, and now it's getting louder, and it's definitely heading towards their camp. And then Jake again says, I think it's important that we get more firewood too now, while we have a chance. If this thing comes to our camp like it sounds like it's going to do, we got to be prepared for this. So they all three got their headlights on, and they went into the immediate forest and just grabbed whatever they could. And Steven said it was just a really eerie feeling, this strange feeling, to be hearing this sound coming towards them, and then being in the wilderness at night, and then seeing his friends moving around the forest with their headlights. And you couldn't see them very well, but you could see their headlights moving around, and they'd go down and pick up wood. And so they got the firewood, got a good pile of it, and then they stood by the campfire with their backs turned to the fire, waiting. And this thing was now in their vicinity. It was within 100 or so yards. It did one more, this high-pitched siren sound. And the sound was so loud and so frightening that Steven said he could feel it in his chest and his ears were ringing from this sound. It suddenly got quiet, and they stood there for a couple of minutes, and then they heard some walking in the trees just outside of their firelight. Like something was obviously letting them know it was walking, and it was walking in a circle around their camp. They could hear it over here, then it'd be kind of quiet, then they could hear it over here, kind of fade out, then they would hear it over here. Really terrifying. And I've heard stories about people camping in their tent, something circling around their tent for the longest time. Then, without warning, just 20-25 feet into the forest, into the darkest part, they heard this high-pitched scream, yell, howl. Just shocking. They were all had their backs to the fire. They didn't say a word. Jake had a Bowie knife. Ray had picked up a large stick from the firewood pile and was holding that. And then Stephen had his headlight, and they all had headlights, and they were just kind of shining it around randomly, just not sure what to expect next. And then they heard this tree like start pushing. They could hear it. And what was strange, it was in the opposite direction of where they heard this scream howl, and they didn't hear any sound in between. So is there another one? And then this tree goes crashing down. They didn't see it. It didn't come into their camp, but it was in the forest, not that far away. Jake said, if we run out of firewood, this could be a real problem. And then Stephen had this idea. He said, we don't have much of a plan here, but what if we took our headlights, and when you hear this thing again, we all shine them at the same exact time in that direction to see if we could maybe scare this thing off or at least see it. And let this thing know that we're here and we're watching it and we're going to do whatever we can. And so they waited and they didn't hear anything, and then they heard, and this was really the creepiest part of the whole thing, this low moaning, almost a growl. And if you've ever seen like a cat, Jeanette has a cat, and I've seen this cat just on a couple occasions at night be up to the window, and it would see something outside, right? And you know how cats are, they go, and they all act all bad and big, and it made whatever this was in the forest made this kind of a version of this, but much deeper and louder, and it was directed at them. So in that moment, Stephen said, 3, 2, 1, and they each held their arms out with the headlights and turned them on at the exact same time and shined the headlights in the direction where they heard this low moaning sound. And what they saw, deep in the woods, they couldn't see much, but they saw these red glowing eyes looking back at them. About 8 feet above the ground, not blinking, not moving, just staring straight at them. And they didn't know what else to do besides hold the light right in this thing's face as best they could. And it was just deep enough back there where they couldn't really see what it was, but they knew it was big. They did this what felt like several minutes. It was probably less than a minute. And then this thing just disappeared. It didn't blink its eyes. They didn't see the head turn. They didn't hear it. It just like it disappeared. It was gone. They didn't know if it was still around, lurking around. So they stayed up the rest of the night around the campfire, kept feeding the campfire, watching, listening, and talking. And about 5:30 in the morning, they finally saw the sun coming up. Just on the horizon, in the trees, but there was light coming through. And they were exhausted. They put the fire out, and they didn't say a word, and they just started packing up their gear. After about 20-25 minutes, they were all packed up, ready to go, and they worked their way down the trail, the direction they'd come, in like 2 hours, and they moved really quickly. They got to the trailhead, they were really hungry, and they felt it was daylight, it was a sunny day, and they felt they could finally talk about this. And Ray and Stephen didn't really know what they had experienced, but Jake who lived in Washington, who grew up there, he was raised there, he said, I think we experienced a Sasquatch, you guys. An angry one, though. And my guess is he felt we were in his territory and he was not happy with us. And obviously there was nothing they could do about it other than just hold tight to the campfire and get through the night somehow. So they drove back to Seattle, wrapped things up, all went their separate ways. About 2 weeks later, Stephen heard that there was a missing person in North Cascades National Park, and he couldn't stop thinking about what he had experienced, and maybe it was related. So he felt compelled to call the park, the national park. And so he got through to some backcountry rangers. He got a hold of one, a female, and he decided to just tell her what they had experienced that night. He didn't say Bigfoot, he didn't say Sasquatch, but he just told what he had heard, what they saw, what they felt, what they experienced. And then he waited, and this park ranger was quiet. And then she said, this is strictly off the record, what I'm going to tell you. She said they quit issuing permits for that part of the park just recently. One of the things they found were these large footprints up in that drainage, human-like footprints. And this ranger also said she was on horseback patrol by herself in that area, and something large and black stalked her. She didn't elaborate on what that was, but she just said she had this experience there. She also said, I won't go there by myself anymore. And we also have a couple of rangers, employees, that want to transfer out of this park. And she was also considering that herself. And she seemed to tell Stephen this to kind of paint this bigger picture for his benefit because of the situation that they had just gone through, and to give them a better idea off the record about what was really going on in North Cascades National Park. And that is our story from the campfire with my good friend Timothy here. He's been, thank you, Tim. And Tim's been stoking and managing the fire for me, so I'm not hopping up and breathing all the smoke and stuff, so I can just tell the story here. But we got a full moon, just about a full moon, rising up in front of us here. We got the creek going, as you guys can hear, obviously. And yeah, we got a good night still going here. So we'll talk to you again in a little bit before we wrap it up for the night. And then tomorrow we got a nice day set up. We're going to do a little fishing, some exploring in the Sierras here. So, all right. We slept really well. Got up in the middle of the night a couple times, and we watched the stars just for a few minutes. They were really thick. Once the moon went down, we had a full moon, and it was almost felt like there was a street light on my side of the tent. It's like, what? Who's got the light on out there? And it was moonlight. And but yeah, the stars were amazing, really thick. So we are having breakfast right now. So
Cheesy eggs.
eggs, and our tots again.
Tots. Dos.
Potato rounds, Rebecca.
Take two tater rounds. Yes, tomatoes, cheese, well, potato rounds, as they call them in the business. I got the small mug.
Yeah.
I got the
beer
grande.
mug.
I got the grande.
Yeah, the combo beer mug, coffee mug, water cup. Yeah.
Beautiful morning.
Beautiful
Look at that
morning.
sunshine.
Creek. Yeah, the creek's been really nice. Yeah. Just for sound and
In most of the country.
It tastes terrific.
Get new Folgers in the red can. Or for automatic drip coffee makers, get Folgers Flaked Coffee. Both delicious mountain-grown Folgers.
Tim and I are going to do a little fly fishing this morning. Got a beautiful meadow down here in the Sierra Nevada. And we're going to start with some grasshoppers. Supposed to be brook trout down here. Got off. I
Yeah.
had him though.
Yeah, you had a hit. Can I help you? Got it. Hello?
Nice little brookie.
Nice.
Woohoo! Good job filming, Timmy. All right. Brookie!
Bye-bye.
Oh, little one came out. Did you see that? There you go. There you go. That's it. Oh, yep. I don't know if it's floating.